Hey, this is a little introduction to a quick at-home lab called Reaction Time at Home, the ruler test. So you can go ahead and read the introduction at the start, but basically we want to see how fast you can react today. Now, a reaction is a little bit different than a reflex because, a reaction you have to think about. A reflex is something your body sort of does naturally. But the question is, how does my dominant hand reaction time compare to my non-dominant hand? So the one that's dominant is the one they use to write with. So most of us are right-handed. So it would be like, how does my right hand reaction time compare to my left hand? And go ahead and I started your hypothesis for you here. You just got to go ahead and choose which word. Remember, in an hypothesis, we use an if-then statement. So it says, if we change from our dominant hand to our non-dominant hand, then our reaction time will what? So when you go from your dominant hand to your non-dominant hand, for most of us, that's from our right to our left, what's going to happen to your reaction time? Just get rid of the one you don't want there. But the materials are pretty simple. All you need is a ruler. Additional rulers are available at Hester if you need one. If you just show up at the school before you even get to the office, I'll put a little box of extra rulers. And you need a partner. The partner is going to drop it while you catch it. I've outlined the procedure here pretty well for you, but since you can read that on your own, let's go down and take a look at the picture. Here you go. So as you can see, your partner is going to hold the top of the ruler, the top being the 30 centimeter mark. You're going to be hovering down below, right at the 0, close but not touching that ruler. And then within 5 seconds, your partner is going to let it go. You're going to catch it and record your time. So it's going to look something, if you click on that, you can see this, like this. But notice right there where your finger's at is a centimeter mark. That's the distance you want to record on your data table. So let's say I did it, and the first time was at 15 centimeters. Then the next time maybe I was a little faster at 12 centimeters, then maybe 25 centimeters, and then maybe 21 centimeters, whatever the case might be. But for each hand, you're going to do it 4 times. And then you're going to take your mean average. So we know there's 3 different types of averages. There's the mean, medium, and mode. But in science, most often, we sort of want to know that mean average. Up here, it reminds you how to find that mean average. You're going to add up your 4 numbers and divide by 4. Now, if you don't have a calculator, you should know this by now. You just go to Google. You type in calculator, and there it is. Okay? So if I wanted to find out my pretend average here, 15 plus 12, 15 plus 12 plus 25, 21 plus 25 plus 21. Now, before you divide by 4, you have to press equals and then divide by 4. So I got a time of 18.25. Now, you can just include the first decimal, or if you can round to the nearest tenth, that would be great. So I'm going to put 18.3 right here. Now, that actually can correspond to a time. If I go down to my chart here, 18.3 seconds is about 18, as 190 milliseconds. Okay, there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So 18.3 goes with 190 milliseconds. 190 milliseconds. Now, what does that mean? Well, it says down here, it says keep trying. You're not the Top Gun yet. I'm just pretty good. Okay, now that's just sort of pretend data. But you're going to do the same for both of them. And then down at the bottom, it's time to complete our conclusion. And we've been working on this CER format. So let me just walk you through it here. So let's say you have your 2 averages. Now it's time to write your claim. How does my dominant hand reaction time compare to my non-dominant hand? Your claim, you just answer the question. So my blank hand has the faster reaction time. The evidence, you're simply going to list your averages and maybe any observations you had. Maybe how you thought it was difficult using your non-one, maybe how you improved a little bit, you thought, as you practiced a little bit. But the averages are enough for the evidence. Now, when it comes to the reasoning, I always like to start off with a little transition, like as my evidence shows, and then restate my claim. Talk about my averages. So before you just listed them, now you're using those averages to prove your point. And then maybe any scientific explanation you can throw in there as well. If your right hand is faster, you could throw in why you think that is. All right. At the very bottom, this is just a reminder that there's a lot of things you could do with this lab. We did right hand versus left hand. You could have done old people versus young people. You could have done light, doing this in the light, or doing this sort of like with barely any light. You could have done it maybe in the morning versus at lunchtime when you're maybe sleepy or more wide awake. So there's a lot of different possibilities you could have done with this lab. But again, if you need or extra ruler, let me know. But pretty straightforward. Have some fun with it. Another thing you could explore is how your reaction time improves with practice, because that's what a lot of major leaguers do, right? They get the reaction time sort of built in, and it becomes like muscle memory. But let me know if you have any questions, and enjoy.